All right, folks, it's Fantasy Ball now on the Fanstream Sports channel powered by DSP Media. I'm Jeff Fidoff at It Happens on X. He is at Chad Ochorinco on the X as well. A lot to talk about today as we've got tomorrow, Thursday, or I guess when you might get this on Thursday when you're first seeing this, so we'll say tonight, whatever. Thursday, we got a couple preseason games going on, and we got this last full weekend of preseason before we go into the regular season. It's right around the corner, Chad. Do you anticipate us learning much from watching the games this week? Do you think we're going to get much from it? Mostly just, I know we can see Rodgers in the Jets uniform, but mostly BS stuff probably, right?
Probably, and some teams I don't know if they should. Like if you look at the Thursday night games, obviously the Eagles should not play anybody of significance tomorrow or tonight if you're watching this on Thursday. But you figure the Falcons are a team you probably want to give Desmond Ridder as many reps as you can. So I would, if I'm them, play him a half.
Yeah.
Play your stars a half. You're the Falcons. Get some good reps in. Same with the Colts. Let Richardson play. Let whatever running backs you have play because you may need them. And get some rhythm in with the receivers as well with Richardson. And then even your Steelers, play them a quarter. I wouldn't probably go too much. I think you kind of know with Pittsburgh, but I think it's going to be a lot enough. And this is going to be what the old week 4 preseason games were, where it's just more these teams are looking like, hey, who's our 6th receiver? Who's going to make special teams? And what team needs to pick up Rodrigo Blankenship?
A couple of pieces of quarterback news, and I want your take on these things, but Baker Mayfield named the starting quarterback of Tampa Bay, which I think we kind of saw coming. And if he sucks for a couple weeks, they'll take him out and they'll put Kyle Trask in and still suck, and then get a high draft pick in the draft next year. Right. Does that change anywhere in your mind your thinking on Mike Evans and Curtis Godwin?
I think with Baker starting, it kind of elevates him a little bit because Baker's got enough snaps under his belt. He can be a competent quarterback. So I think he knows how to get the ball. He's been pretty accurate his career. So I think Baker helps them just for the fact that he's played so many more games than Trask in the NFL. So he's used to seeing some stuff. And I think it's a good move by the Buccaneers. You bring Baker in, let him start, let him succeed because he's probably going to be your best shot to win. And if he's not good, then let Trask come in. And again, it's one of those where, hey, Baker, we gave you a chance, and then he can help groom Trask. Like I said, if they both suck, then, you'll get a high draft pick.
Yeah, that seems to make most sense, too. I thought all along it'd be Mayfield, so I didn't, when I did my ranking things, I didn't adjust for, this if it's Baker, this is Trask. I just assumed it was going to be Baker all along. And, I don't expect great numbers out of those guys, but they're still good receivers, and Tampa Bay is going to be behind. Tampa Bay is going to have to throw the ball. So the volume-wise, well, I don't like Baker. Volume-wise, I think it bodes well for, for having, Evans and Godwin out there. They're going to get a lot of looks because Tampa Bay, quite frankly, have to pass the ball quite a bit, I believe.
I think this helps Rachaad White also for a lot of dump passes. Right. Like I said, he had 50 receptions last year, and I think that's going to be part of their game is to try to, just make smart plays to gain yards, and that would be Rachaad White on some dump screen passes.
That's a great point. The other news that came out was that Sam Darnold is the backup to Brock Purdy in San Francisco, being Trey Lance is third right now on the list, and there's talk about, will they trade him? Will they cut him? What are they going to do with Trey Lance and all this? And so, obviously, Trey Lance in, annual leagues, new league, regular redraft leagues and all that, he has no value whatsoever. But the intrigue that Trey Lance could be on another team and get an opportunity sooner, I got to believe that increases his dynasty ranking, right? His dynasty value. I'm not saying a lot, but now I'm more likely to look at him than I would be in a redraft league.
Yeah, I think it'd be because I just saw something too where it sounds like, and I can't remember who their other quarterback is. I think it's one of the Allen boys, but They were talking like he could be the third, and then Lance just gets cut, which I think would probably be the best for Lance because I don't think anyone's trading for him unless they just get so desperate because someone gets hurt. So I think if he gets cut, someone will probably take a shot on him just as a backup to bring him in because he can, use his legs. And I don't think he ever really got a good chance at San Francisco because before he got hurt, he actually looked good. And I think he put up some decent fantasy numbers. Like I know one week, I think he had over 20. Right. So yeah, in a dynasty league, I have him in one of the leagues that we're in, and I'm kind of holding on to him just in case. But yeah, I wouldn't be drafting him unless he happens just to go somewhere that, he kind of is the starter or, has a good chance as a backup. But
yeah, that's kind of the way I look at it too. I think that's a fair way to look at it.
Yeah.
Couple of injuries for former Buckeye players, actually. Terry McLaurin had a toe injury suffered in their massive win against Baltimore for Washington to end that 24-game winning streak, whatever it was, pre-season, which is just insane. But they were worried it was turf toe. X-rays come back negative. He looks like he should be okay for week 1. Jack Smith-Njigba, by the way, wrist injury, not sure on him. I've heard things like they're optimistic week 1. I've also heard he'll definitely be back by October, which is a wide range there on those things. It doesn't change anything in dynasty rankings for me on these guys, but obviously in a redraft league now, JSN, and because, look, and I love JSN, but because of what we had to deal with last year with him on the field at Ohio State where he never played, and I know it's a different kind of injury. It's not like what he had last year. It's a wrist injury, but still, injuries piling up, not a good thing. And that's what concerns me about JSN a little bit now.
Yeah, I think with the McLaurin thing, it not being turf toe is kind of a huge deal because I know I've never had it, but all the times you hear guys in the NFL or anybody has turf toe, it takes them a while to get back from that. So that's good news for McLaurin for how the Commanders in general. So I'm not too worried about McLaurin. He's going to probably still be in the same spot he always is in the draft. JSN's interesting because he kind of was getting a little bump in his draft stock just because I think they realized that offense could be good. And like you said, he has not played really much football in like almost 2 years. And then you take a wrist injury. Well, it's not, ligaments, those type of things. He's still not going to be able to catch. So I think he's supposed to have surgery, but he hasn't had it yet. So I don't think he's going to be ready by week 1, but I would think it's probably 2-3. So I would still, I was never big drafted him in redraft leagues. Anyways, I mean, if he was at a spot, he was just going a little bit earlier than I liked. I think it really kind of now will help bump Lockett up. Yeah. Which is a guy that I don't hear anybody talking about. But if you look at him over the past 5 years, where he was drafted at, he's always outperformed his draft stock. And there's a couple years by a significant amount. And this year, he's still in that wide receiver 35 to 40 range. So without a JSN there, I think that helps lock it out a lot. And, at least early on in the year.
I think you're right on that. And that's the thing with JSN. They're going to be cautious with him because of the fact he's a rookie that invested a high draft pick in him. So they're not going to rush him out there. But obviously JSN was itching to get back out there after what happened last year for him. And he wants to shed that label of being injury prone. But they got to be careful about, you're right. Lockett, though, I think this absolutely gives him a boost in his value. No doubt about that. So moving on to the Colts news, that's, Jonathan Taylor requested a trade, demanded a trade, whatever. Irsay says, no, you know what, you're here. And then Taylor says he might sit out. And now Irsay is giving him an opportunity to go out and to solicit trade offers for him. And he has given Jonathan Taylor until Tuesday to present their offers before they decide what they're going to do. I think Jonathan Taylor either plays for the Colts or doesn't play anywhere this year. I don't think Irsay will accept an offer unless it's like a ridiculous, haul of draft picks to where you can't turn it down. But I don't expect something like that to happen. I think there'll be some, second round pick maybe offers it. And he would then just say, you know what, we couldn't find a trade partner that gave us what we needed, so you got to stay with us. We'll take the good PR for saying you can go try to find a trade partner for us, but not going to happen. I don't think anyway Jonathan Taylor. So when I'm looking at Jonathan Taylor, obviously next Tuesday is a big deal. If you're drafting before Tuesday, if you're drafting after Tuesday, obviously watch this very closely. Right. I still think Jonathan Taylor leads the Colts in rushing this year.
I'd probably lean that way too. There's already people that have, I guess, reached out to the Colts. I think the Colts are going to want at least a one. I read somewhere where someone was talking to a lot of the NFL execs, and they're like, nobody is going to give up a one. So I saw one. They said, what about a 24-2, a 24-5, and DeAndre Swift for Taylor, which would just make the Eagles ridiculous. I saw another one, like the Bears have been talked about it. Then I saw a guy talking that the Bears would be stupid to do it because of what Poles has done. They got a lot of draft capital, and he goes, that running back room is good enough to win. I'm like, I would take Jonathan Taylor over all those guys. Like, I don't care. Like, we have 2 firsts next year. Why not throw one? Like, even if you have to give up Khalil Herbert, like, so in the Dolphins. So I just don't think. I think there's going to be trade offers for him. I just don't think the Colts are going to like any of them.
I would love them in Chicago. That'd be great. Chicago, Miami are the 2 most talked about ones as possibilities for him. They're going to be, if they do trade him, they're going to be they're not going to trade him in the division. They're not going to do that. But, another team that I saw, and there's somebody who owns a lot of stock in the running back that's there now. I don't want to see Buffalo get him because I love James Cook this year, and they say he's looked really good in camp. Not that Taylor wouldn't improve the team, but from fantasy standpoint, that would really affect big time James Cook's value.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, if you're a team that is either close or like in the Super Bowl hunt, if you're the Chiefs, what's it going to hurt to offer your one, which is going to be probably one of the last 3 picks in the first round?
31, 32,
offer him a one, and then throw in, like we always do, if CEH, throw in CEH.
Throw in every deal,
or even throw in Pacheco. If you're the Chiefs and you add Taylor. Mm-hmm. If you're anybody that has need at running back or could use one, and you think you're in a Super Bowl contention, why not? If you think you're going to have a late first round pick, why not go get him?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I'm with you on that. Yeah, it's the Chiefs have that luxury, and that's the great thing about always picking the end of the first round. It's not the worst thing in the world if you can do that. And who knows? Look, if the Chiefs give it a first rounder and ask for like a 4th round in return or something like that, I think that the Colts would probably consider that. But no one's going to get he's not going to get the haul you get for a quarterback in the draft, like the RG3 haul or the Trey Lance haul. That's not going to happen here. It's a running back a few years on him already and has had some injuries.
Right, and he's in a contract, so you'll have to re-sign him or franchise him. So it's not like you've got it's not a younger guy where you got a couple years. So I mean. They'll get offers. I just don't think the Colts will do it. But who knows? Irsay could just decide, you know what? Let's get something for him. I mean, I think it'd be smart for the Colts to get rid of him if they can get a decent return for him.
It's such a short window with running backs. If you're not going to win the title in the next couple of years, which the Colts aren't going to, then you're not going to pay the running back either. No. You're going to end up trading him for some draft capital and acquire a new running back when it's time for you to compete. And you've got a very mobile quarterback now versus having, the statue of Matt Ryan back there or Phillip Rivers. You've got a mobile quarterback who's starting week 1. So you've got some more flexibility there where you can afford to wait a couple of years to grab a running back because you're not going to be competing for a Super Bowl this year. Another team, transition a little bit here, but who I don't know. I guess it depends on how you feel about their running back they have now. But what if the Vikings, were to have some interest there? You got Alexander Mattison there, who's never been a number 1 back for a whole season. And he's looked good when he's been out there playing number 1 snaps for games when Dalvin Cook was out or suspended or whatever. But should Minnesota be interested in that, or do you think Alexander Mattison is going to be a very viable running back this year?
Yeah, Madison's such an interesting guy this year because last year everyone was like, man, if the Vikings can trade Madison's going to be the guy to get, and everyone was all hyping up Madison last year. And then now this year it's like all I hear is like, well, Madison's not that explosive, and everyone's hyping up like Ty Chandler and McBride. I'm like, and so I saw somebody actually say Ty Chandler had 1,300 yards like in college. I'm like, okay, like he had 189 carries to do it. Like Roschon Johnson had 93 carries and rushed for half that. So like, I don't care. None of those guys are that good, I don't think, or they would have been drafted higher. And I don't know if Madison's that good. Like, and I saw a guy try to argue like that Madison's going to be a bust. because he's like, and his argument was, well, he was productive when he was in, but it was such a short amount of time, and he's probably going to get 20 carries. I'm like, if you guaranteed me Alexander Mattison got 20 carries a week, I would sign me up for that. Most running backs aren't getting 20 carries, but the thing is, he's going in like the 4th round or early 5th. So you've got and if you're going zero RB, a lot of times he's the guy you're targeting as your first running back, which is kind of scary. And you kind of compare him to so yeah, if you're the Vikings, why not?
Right.
And I'd flip him for Madison in a first.
Yeah, you can do that also. But Madison, for me, and I admittedly have an affinity for this other running back, but you've got Madison and Tony Pollard are both kind of in similar situations, whereas Pollard had better production last year and more touches, and there's a lot more hype around him. You've got to draft him earlier, obviously. But some of the same questions you have about Madison, you may have about Pollard, too, because this is Pollard's first time being the guy. And he's come off an injury, but he's the guy this year in Dallas. And they've got a great offensive line, no doubt about it. That's going to help him out. But I could see similar reasons why you might have concerns about Pollard as you do about Madison.
Yeah, and with Pollard, he is going sometimes at the end of the first, but he's going in the first 15 to 17 picks. So a lot of draft capital. He is more explosive than Madison. I will give him that. He just, if he gets the ball, he can take it to the house every time. So there's that upside with him.
Right.
But again, I think he's smaller than Madison.
Yeah.
So but he's better in the passing game. So they're both interesting, and I haven't got a whole lot of stock in them in any kind of mock drafts I do because of where you got to draft them. I would even throw in then, and why I kind of like this guy better is Khalil Herbert's in a kind of a similar situation. He's kind of getting the main job this year. Mm-hmm. He looked good in limited time when he's been out there. He's explosive, but with him, you can get him in the 9th round. So, that's why I seem to get more of Herbert than anybody else. I have not drafted Pollard at all. Not that I don't like him. It's just there's still good receivers on the board when he's there. And I can't pass on an A.J. Brown or even CeeDee Lamb sometimes there, Wilson, St. Brown. So I never get Pollard. I do get Madison occasionally, but I usually try to get him as the RB2 if I took somebody with Derrick Henry or somebody, in the 2nd round, or if I went Bijan. But it's just interesting to see because you just don't know. But then again, any of these guys could end up being, and some of you guys may not catch this reference because it's so old. They could be the next Michael Turner, because Michael Turner was LT's backup. They ended up trading him to Atlanta, and he had two really good years, and then he just fell off. Which I think these guys can. Madison's the kind of guy I think that can really have a dynamic year and a half. But I see him as kind of a David Montgomery type runner where he just kind of plods along. He gets yardage. He's going to get the goal line carries probably, and that team's going to score points. So he has a lot of upside. It's just I don't think long term he's the guy, but I just don't know if taking a chance on him in the 4th round.
That's what. So I think that looking at where you'd have to get them, I'm telling you got to draft one of these guys. Have to be on your team. So Pollard late 1st, mid 2nd. Versus Madison, maybe mid 4 and mid 5. I think Madison would be the one I'd target if I had to take one of them, based on what the other players would be. I'd be able to draft around them. Obviously, if I do a Madison and do 0 running back, you can pick up a couple of good receivers, maybe 3 good receivers and a tight end in there if you want to, and you can work it out that way. That's where I think I'd take Madison at the value. I think Pollard has a better year though.
Yeah, I just did a draft where. I'm with you though. If Pollard was at the end of the 2nd, then I would be all over Pollard. Yeah. But because at that point, all those receivers are gone. I just did a draft where I put myself at it was at the 12. So I was at the 12 just to see what was going to happen. And I ended up getting Sun God, and I got AJ Brown.
Okay. Which I love. I told you.
I love that. I was going to try to get Lamb and St. Brown, but then Lamb went right before me. But I'll take Brown and St. Brown. Yeah. And then at the 3-4 turn, I got Calvin Ridley, and then I ended up taking Alexander Madison just because it was between him and Brees Hall, so I could have taken either one.
Right.
So, and I kind of like them both. But, if you get Madison as your RB1 and you've got those three receivers, then I'm not, too upset, but it's still kind of risky.
Yeah, it is. That's what I found too. That way, if you can get St. Brown and Brown, I'll take that all day long at that 12-13 turn. Speaking of that, you've got a league you're drafting in soon. Is this before our draft on Monday?
It is on Sunday, you mean?
Sunday, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually the same time. It's like they got it the same time. So I think ours at 3:30, theirs at 4. So it's it's online.
You'll be at the Swamp.
Well, that's ideally you would be, but here's the dilemma I have.
Oh, here we go.
So I'm dropping it to you on live podcast. Our draft's at 3:30 on Sunday. Right. It takes me like 45, 50 minutes to get to the Swamp. And the draft's gonna be 4 or 5 hours. And then I'll be home maybe after 10. The church is like 3.5 minutes from my house. And it'll be like 2 hours. Although here's the thing. I could probably, because I don't have a pick until 25 in our draft, I could probably go to the church, draft, and then head up for most of my picks at the Swamp. I might be able to do them both.
But the problem with going in is, and this is again doesn't relate to anybody listening, but that's okay. But this is where I'll tell you, this is a baseball tip right now. If you do that, you won't be able to conduct any real live trade. It'd be difficult to do live trades.
It does, yeah.
If you have a chance, and granted, I don't know how many picks you even have for next year yet. But anyway, you could. It does eliminate that to where somebody might say, "Hey, Chad, I want this player, and I'll give you this pick," or vice versa, or something. And
yeah, it's harder. Yeah, it is harder trying to text back and forth. So I haven't decided yet. So it just.
I think you've decided.
It's just on location. It's location. So,
and if you show up, I'll do like they did the Celebrity League, and I'll say, Chad, you've been voted off.
You've been voted. I'm out.
Yeah, you're
done. There's plenty of every. But no, so what we're doing this year for that draft, and they just sent a text out. I may be up. Oh, I think I might be up. Let me see.
To pick which spot you're getting.
Yeah, so it was the last couple of years they've done it. It's just last the first from the year before.
Right.
So I finished 11th last year. Thank you, Jonathan Taylor.
Right. Yeah.
So. And then the guy that finished last, my buddy Pedro, he was like, I don't want the first round pick. So they decided, hey, what if we just do it last the first, you pick your position. So we're going to try it this year. So I'm waiting for Pedro to pick. Talking to him, he kind of wants 5-6 that pick. So my question is, because I'll basically have almost any position I want.
Okay.
Where should I pick? Because there's part of me,
12 team PPR,
12 team PPR. It's just it's just standard, yeah. So, one quarterback's just 4, so it's your standard stuff. It might even be half PPR, I can't remember, but it's free, so I don't really, it's just to bragging rights at church.
So just so I'm clear on this, to back up, then you're talking about being live in person at a free draft,
right?
In our draft, which is considerably more lucrative, and is a franchise type draft.
It is, yes.
If you make mistakes, it could set you back.
Exactly.
Okay, just want to check on that. Make sure
check. Yes.
Yeah.
So
it's a big difference between half point or full point, though.
I can't remember. Yeah, I mean, it is.
I'll take that 12 spot all day long if it's full point.
See, that's why I did that draft today at 12 because I thought, well, I wouldn't mind going 2 because I get Chase or Jefferson, but then I'm like. But by the time it gets back to me, you're not that I don't mind Ramondre Stevenson, but you're looking at Stevenson, Henry. Then it's when the quarterback. I don't like what's there, so I'm like, I'd rather get 12 and then 12-1, get 2 stud receivers, or if somehow like Bijan falls. I don't like the only reason I like the middle is because I would love to get Tyreek and St. Brown. That would be ideal. However, it's just Tyreek sometimes goes 5-6. If Tyreek falls to 8, I don't think St. Brown comes back to me. And so, I think 12's sitting there because I'm almost guaranteed to get St. Brown. I don't think anyone's going to take St. Brown before that.
Yeah.
And if a lot of running backs go, I could be sitting St. Brown Diggs, St. Brown Lamb, or like you said, St. Brown Brown. I like that. And I kind of like that. And then you can get ahead of stuff. And then if I go Ridley should be able to be there. I like him. And then get Brees Hall at 4. And then that at the 5-6 turn, I can get Herbert or Lawrence. So
Yeah.
I kind of dig that. I think that's where I'm going to try to go.
Right.
Is at 12.
Yeah, I think 12 for me is what I've had the most. Let me put it this way: when I've done the mock drafts in PPR leagues, I've been the happiest with my team when I've picked 12th.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's when I felt like usually it's been because, like you said, that's usually it was St. Brown and Brown. I was able to get Ridley a few times in there also, and then whatever the best available running back was, and then the 5, 6 in that turn. You don't want to take quarterback later than that.
No,
because by the time he's back, it'll be slim pickings.
And I'm telling, and I tell you, like I did today, I think I did go Hall over Madison, but Madison was there, so I went St. Brown, Ridley, Hall,
right,
and then I went Fields was there, and I just went Fields, but it was Fields, Herbert, and Lawrence were all there, and then I got Darren Waller, so I got my quarterback tight end. Like I could get Herbert, Lawrence, Fields, and pair it with Waller with those three. I mean, and then I was happy because I can always get, running backs later. So I kind of like that spot. I'm going to do a little bit more, but I'm thinking that's probably where I'm going to pick because I know Pedro will pick his spot before he hears this tomorrow. So if not, he'll just take 12 and take my philosophy.
It's a mess with you too, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, at least you'll see him in person, I guess.
Maybe.
But anyway, okay, yeah. So, what was it you want to talk about? You had on the list here was the draft themes.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like I know some people do draft themes. We have the Low Hoop League in Cincinnati we've done since 1994. Okay. We started doing a theme, like we just were like Team Chad, Team Dave, Team Lou, whatever.
Right.
And then we're like, hey, let's just do themes and we'll have a theme for your team name. And then my buddy always puts like music together for the draft, and sometimes if it fits with that. So since 2006, we've done themes, and it's pretty fun, like just to have the theme names. And like a couple of guys that don't have kids will just buy shirts with the theme. I can't afford to buy a shirt every year. That's ridiculous. So I gotta drive to Johnstown all the time. So
So buy one shirt for your oldest kids and just pass it down.
That's what I need to do. Hey, Merry Christmas! I need this for next year. Yeah. So I was going to go over a couple. I was going to go over all of them, even though because no one wants to hear them all. Except I just want to show you how clever I am. But so the first year was 2006. We did a Seinfeld one, obviously, and so I was the rabbit anti-dentites. So, and I won. That was the first year we did it. We won. Okay. We did a Star Wars one. I was Jar Jar Rinks, which I hate that name, but anytime that you can throw your name in it, I feel like I have to.
You have to do that one, yeah.
Another one, like 80s music was great. It was one we did, and I was the Atlanta Falco.
Okay.
And I won that one. And that one, actually, I came up with a NFL team name for a theme for every team name. So like it was the Chicago Go Bears. Your Steelers were the Krista Berg Steelers.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know any Krista Berg songs, but Krista Berg was a thing. I know two.
He was a thing.
Yeah. Lady in Red, Don't Pay the Ferryman.
He was Lady in Red.
Yeah, Don't Pay the Ferryman. It was a video on MTV that was amazing.
That sounds like a Gordon Lightfoot song, but go ahead.
Yes. So, and we done like Will Ferrell was one we did. So 6 pound, 8 ounce baby Jesuses. We've done movies. Like we did 80s hair band where I was Chad Medicine. Just it was going to be the Appetite Ends for Destruction. Didn't. 80s sitcoms. I was My Two Chads. Now another one that I won was we did 80 sitcoms we did 80 hair. What was the one? No, 2020. In 2020, we just did, 2020 is the theme, just the theme. Okay. I was going to be first in ivermectin, but I changed it to Running Back Lives Matter, and I won. And I feel like the running backs are missing a huge opportunity to use that hashtag Running Back Lives Matter right now when they're trying to get paid. So, hey, I have a shirt. I did make my own shirt. I made my own shirt because I'm cheap.
You made your own shirt. It looks great.
It was great. So that's one. So this year's theme, and of course last year with the Beatles, I was the Rodrigo Blank Shippy Shippy Shakes. So
there you go.
This year's theme is video games. So I'm still trying to figure out. So my top 3 are Chadden 94 for Madden.
I like that one. That's a good one.
The DJ Morgan Trail.
Okay.
And then one I think I'm going to go with, my buddy came up with, is pretty clever. It's Inky, Blinky, Rinky, and Clyde. So the ghost
That's a
from
good one.
Pac-Man. So
Yeah,
that's it. So I
Pac-Man.
mean, there's some other ones I've done, some team name ones, but those are probably the ones I'll choose one to go with. So
Jeff,
themes are
I'm no
fun,
fun.
huh?
I'm no fun. I'm no fun because I hate that idea. I mean, they're great ideas. They're clever, but I
Yeah.
can't do it. I take it so seriously. I can't allow myself to think about it. So it's not to disrespect you. I just can't. I would never. I joined the league last year. Somebody said, "Hey, you like Lamar Jackson? This is at a party." And I said, "Yeah, I like Lamar Jackson. Did you like Nick Chubb?" I said, "Look at this team." And he shows it on his phone. And we're just having conversation. I'm being polite. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, that's a good team. I like that team. He said, "You can own it." Dynasty League guy dropped out. If you want to do it, and of course, I'm a couple of cocktails in. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
So I joined the league. I use my normal team name, Wrecking Ball.
Wrecking Ball, yeah.
Week
Because you're
3,
a huge Miley Cyrus fan.
Of course, it's fine. Week 3, I get an email from the commissioner.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I don't know if you know, it's a Marvel themed league, so you've got to have a Marvel team name somehow in that.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, great. You know, and again at that point, I'm like, God, okay, fine, because I didn't want to do it anyway, but now I've got to do it. And so I think I went and did a list of Marvel characters, and I found the Punisher. I think is who I used. I figured that was close to Wrecking Ball, and so that's what I used for that one. But it made me uncomfortable feeling I was forced to do a theme.
So here you go. If you have a theme draft and you don't like to do that, you can go to themedraftproxy.com. Okay. We did a Marvel draft, so you can take. I was Starknado.
Well, you had to literally have the name of the character. You could not adjust it at all.
What do you mean? So you were the Punisher, like
whatever that character. Yeah, I think it's Punisher is who he. I think the Punisher is the name of the one that I've got.
So do you get a character and you have to have a name from that character, or you can just choose whatever Marvel?
You pick any Marvel character you want.
Yeah.
And
I would just change and make it. I just change unless someone had Iron Man, but Starknado's good. You take Groot. My buddy won the league, the Marvel one, and he was like, "Make America Groot again."
Okay. Now here's the other thing with this is that Wrecker. I'm sorry, is the name of mine. That was a close one. Wrecker.
Okay.
It's got Wrecker. It's got Nightcrawler, Gambit, Incredible Hulk, Deadpool, She-Hulk, Professor X, and one guy, because I think he lost a bet. I don't know for sure on this. I think he lost a bet somewhere because anytime someone puts his team name is I Am Groot.
Yeah.
And I think every time someone posts something, he has to respond to. Before he responds, he has to send a text out that says I Am Groot. Every time.
Okay.
So I think he lost some kind of bet or something on that one. But yeah, you can't change the team name at all. It's just whatever.
I mean, if it's a theme, you should be able to choose whatever like team name you want to do. Like, I don't want to just be like the Incredible Hulks because that's boring.
I know.
You got to be clever. So if you're ever in if you're in a theme draft, the best part is like my buddy and I, once we come up with a theme, he and I for the next day and a half, we just text back and forth like all these names that we come up with. And we also have stuff like we have like probably 3 or 4 themes that we haven't done yet that we have probably 20 names for. Like I think next year we'll finally push Arrested Development because like me, him, and like one other person have seen it. We're just gonna say, listen, it's Arrested Development. You have all year to watch. All you need to do is watch the first 3 seasons. So themes are fun just because I like coming up with names. I'm creative like that. So it's just something different.
I got pissed off when Nice Wander changed his name in our league. He started off 4P corners and changed his name. That was tough for me. That was tough for me because that throws all through. And I'll tell you this: Urban Meyer never wanted to play a 3:30 game before the Michigan game. Okay, the week before. He wanted to have a noon game every time before the Michigan game. And his reason behind that was that he would have 3.5 hours more to prepare. Michigan week starts 3.5 hours earlier for him then. Yeah. He has that much more time to prepare. That's the way I look at it with theme leagues. I'm not going to spend a day and a half with themes. I'd rather spend that day and a half prepping for the draft.
There you go.
And ready for the season. Now, obviously, it's really worked well in our one league, so I haven't won a title in that one yet. But that's the way I look at it.
Right.
I'm not going to waste time on team names. I'm going to spend time doing this. Not saying you're wrong, but that's just my philosophy of it.
However, I've won since we switched from 2000. I won all 5 of my championships in the Low Hoop League once we did theme names. I didn't win one before.
That's amazing.
So
that's amazing.
So you're never gonna have a theme for the league because I will just dominate.
The team name you've got is the one. That's the one you're keeping.
Yeah. Well, I started off with Ocho Rinco, and
That's
then
right,
I
Ocho
changed
Rinco
it. I
first
changed it
before
before the season started, though, to Rink
yeah.
NATO.
Yeah,
And
but
NATO
no one's allowed to change team names.
No.
No one's allowed to do it. The only way you can change your team names is if you leave the league and someone else takes it over. That's the only that franchise name changes. Otherwise, you're locked in. And I don't care. Get off my lawn. Ebenezer Scrooge. Go buy yourself your own food. All that, whatever. That's what it is. So, all right. That was a fun way to end that one. So we've got preseason football coming up tonight, whatever. Thursday. Let's just say it. Thursday, there's preseason football. We'll talk about that, see if any other injury news comes down, any other starting positions get announced, or anybody gets released. We'll keep up on all that. He's at Chad Ochocinco on the X. I'm at Fit Happens. Chad, let's do this again, buddy, tomorrow. And thanks a lot for everything you're doing, man.
Yep, maybe see you at the draft.
You son of a...